Before anyone spoke, the room already knew the rules. Sit up straight, hands flat on the desk, eyes forward, always forward. The wooden desks felt cold beneath your fingers, and the silence was so complete you could hear chalk settle on the ledge. No one had to explain what to do. You simply knew. Every movement was measured, every whisper swallowed. Today, classrooms hum with color and conversation. But back then, order came first. It feels startling now, almost unbelievable. Yet for millions of children, this was normal life, learned early, accepted quietly, and rarely questioned by adults everywhere then. To understand why classrooms felt so tightly ordered, you have to step outside the school gates and into post-war Britain itself. The country was rebuilding, not just bricks and streets, but habits, values, and expectations. The order was comforting, routine was reassuring. After years of uncertainty, people trusted structure to keep life steady. Children were seen as future adults who needed shaping early, gently but firmly. Schools reflected the wider world. Homes followed timetables, workplaces prized punctuality, and public life ran on cues and quiet cooperation. In that setting, clear rules were not viewed as harsh. They were seen as protective. Knowing exactly where to sit, when to speak, and how to behave created a sense of safety for teachers and pupils alike. Today, we often associate learning with freedom and expression. But in the 1950s, consistency was the priority. A well-run classroom symbolized a well-run society. If children could learn to follow shared rules together, many believed everything else would fall into place. And so control became not a punishment, but a promise of stability in a world still finding its balance. That belief quietly shaped classrooms, childhoods, and memories, leaving marks that many still recognize today across Britain then. A school day began before the bell ever rang. Children arrived early, coats buttoned, shoes clean, already forming lines without being asked. You stood where you were meant to stand, eyes ahead, waiting for the signal to move. Inside, desks faced forward in neat rows, each one assigned, each one familiar. Sitting was a skill in itself. Feet flat, back straight, hands placed just so. Lessons followed the clock with quiet precision. Writing time meant silence broken only by pencils scratching. Reading meant standing when called, voice steady, eyes fixed on the page. Even asking a question had its moment and method. Small gestures from the front of the room guided everything. A raised hand here, a pause there. Breaks were timed, lunches orderly, and the return to class just as calm as the exit. By home time, the routine had carried you through without surprise. Today, flexibility fills the school day. Back then, predictability was the point. Teaching children how to move through the world before they even realized they were learning it. That steady rhythm shaped confidence, patience, and belonging, quietly preparing young minds for a society that valued order, shared expectations, and calm progress every single day. Long before anyone thought about exams, classrooms were teaching something quieter. You learned when to speak and when silence mattered more. You learned that authority was not loud, but steady, and that listening carefully was part of belonging. Sitting still was praised. Blending in was encouraged. Standing out rarely was. These lessons followed children home. How you cued, how you greeted adults, how you waited your turn, all traced back to the schoolroom. Today we talk about confidence and self-expression, but in the 1950s, fitting in felt safer than drawing attention. The classroom trained voices to soften, movements to slow, and tempers to settle. None of this was written on the blackboard. It was absorbed through repetition, routine, and watchful guidance. By the time children left school, many carried these habits for life, shaping workplaces, communities, and everyday manners. And yet, beneath that calm surface, small details lingered. It's the little things that sneak up on you. The sharp scent of floor polish in the morning. The soft dust of chalk drifting in the sunlit air. Shoes clicking crisply on varnished floorboards as a teacher walked past. Desks carved with the initials of long-gone pupils, smoothed over by time. The faint creak of a chair when someone shifted, and the glance that followed. Then there was the silence, not the absence of noise, but a full-bodied stillness during handwriting practice or mental arithmetic. Just pencils, breath, and concentration. It was a shared, quiet, almost sacred. Even the ritual of passing books along the row, the weight, the worn covers, had its rhythm. These things weren't extraordinary back then. They were simply part of the day. But now, decades later, they come flooding back like old songs, half remembered. And they remind us just how much has quietly slipped away. Looking back, it's easy to see the structure of those classrooms as strict, almost startling by today's standards. Yet there was a quiet care behind it. Every rule, every measured step, every routine offered children a framework, a sense of security in a world still rebuilding after the war. You knew what was expected, and in knowing it, you felt safe. The order wasn't just about discipline. It was about giving young people a predictable space to grow, to learn, to find their place. Of course, that control came at a cost. Spontaneity was rare. Individual quirks were often tucked away. Voices softened to match the group. Today, schools celebrate curiosity, creativity, and self-expression. Children are encouraged to speak out, experiment, and explore their own rhythms. Yet for many who grew up in the 1950s, the lessons of routine, patience, and respect linger quietly, shaping how they work, interact, and care for others even now. Perhaps the charm of that era lies in this balance, the blend of guidance and memory, of control and warmth. It reminds us that every small action in a classroom once mattered, and those echoes still ripple through British life today. For more of these unbelievable memories, tap the video on your screen. The 1970s stories are something else. Don't forget to subscribe.